Hi there. One big thing about D&D is, of course, the various different sorts of monsters and whatnot. It ranges from small little things such as kobolds, small little challenge rating, 1/4 Earth, to various different giant beasts such as the Tarrasque, challenge rating 30. Now, one of the biggest things with Tarrasque is, how do you want to implement it? As it is one of the strongest creatures, definitely one of the top creatures of D&D as far as strength goes, as it is, challenge rating 30, and it has an armor class of 25, which a normal person wouldn't be able to hit such a beast unless they were to roll critical rolls, or if they were to have +6s on a 19 or something like that. But yet again, it also has 676 hit points, and that is a staggering feat in and of itself. And then even more so, it has 40 feet of movement speed, 10 more than the average person, be able to outrun you pretty well. And it's a gargantuan entity. It's the Godzilla of D&D. And then even more so, it has 30 in strength, 11 dex, 30 constitution. That's a whopping constitution. Only 3 for intelligence. It's a pretty stupid animal. 11 for wisdom and 11 for charisma. So, it's a little more charismatic than that one druid you met down the way. But, either way, hey, it is still a gigantic, hulking, Godzilla-like beast. And then even more so, it has damage immunities to fire, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slash damage from non-magical weapons. And it cannot be charmed, frightened, poisoned, or paralyzed. And then even more so, it's challenge rating 30, which means you get 155,000 experience points from it, so that's a bit of a buff. The only thing is too, it also has frightful presence, which means it will anything within 120 feet of it will be entirely horrified unless it has the capability of being frightened, immunity to that. That's the same as the Tarrasque does. So yet again, how does one fight it? Well, the answer is with a lot of complicated stuff, or you just avoid it altogether. But that's not why we're here. So what's my favorite way to implement a Tarrasque? Well, I like to throw it in the first session, when everybody is level 1 and barely knows what the heck they're doing. So, why would I do that? Well, it adds a good plot point, it adds something to push everybody along. So, everybody's concerned about, when's the Tarrasque going to show up? Because, one big thing about the Tarrasque is, in a normal game in D&D, they hibernate for years at a time, and they burrow down. But the thing is, they're able to move around like a Earth Elemental does, and they can move through Earth without displacing it. So they're on the same, they take up the same amount of space as the Earth does that they're moving through. Only thing is, metal, they can't pass through metal, so they'll have to destroy a gold vein or something if they pass through one of those, which would be a telltale sign when the tremors hit from a gold vein being struck or something like that. But yet again, and a big thing to use one of these Tarrasques for is plot. So, for instance, in a campaign that I ran a little while back, which had 3 players. There's a Aarakocra pirate by the name of Pinor, or a Triton and fighter by the name of Aquaticus, and a changeling alchemist known as Sock, who went by the guise of Aram the Tiefling. And this band of misfits bound together to, escape, immediate problems and just start together through, various different means and whatnot of traveling. I think really, sticking with Pinor was the best option for Sock and Aquaticus with, the various things that were going on, even though he kind of ruined both their lives unintentionally. But, as they said along, they eventually came upon a city and spent a few days there. However, soon enough the Tarrasque attacked and destroyed the city and just left it in rubble. Now, as they were sailing away from the city, one night Sock was met by Beelzebub, one of the high devils of the Nine Circles. And after this conversation with Beelzebub, she ended up selling her soul to Beelzebub in trade for or both having to go after and fight the Tarrasque, and the ability to know how to create any potion for any job. And the difficulty of it would range upon luck and the job that it required. For instance, one of the jobs that came about with this was, well, one of the times this ability was used was when they needed to fight a siren and to get some money and help a local arms dealer, or give him a discount for this cannon they wanted to buy for their ship. And Sock wound up making a potion that would turn Aquaticus and Pinor gay, so they wouldn't be attracted by the siren's calls, which was a really interesting play, itself. I mean, absolutely wonderful, hilarious in just about every single way. Now, as this went along, the party would, journey through various different ways. They'd have to go to fight gangs and whatnot to get certain people in line and whatnot for Beelzebub's plans. And so his plans were to overthrow Asmodeus as the, ruler of the Nine Hells. And as this whole plan went along, they eventually found themselves being contacted by a small entity known as the Nothic, a small little monster that's capable of reading the minds of other people and uses this information to kind of, manipulate them, who was, under the control of Beelzebub. And as he told them about, through the form of this Nothic, about a silver dragon named Sligum, who knew of the location of a grand and demigod storm giant who could possibly defeat the Tarrasques, as he had done such before. Now, as these Tarrasques, there were two Tarrasques in this world. Tarrasque, I don't know. Maybe it's something of the sort. But these two Tarrasques were cursed in a way that they were, incapable of breeding, and they were essentially immortal. Well, they would not regenerate the same way that a normal Tarrasque would, and it removed the problem of, trying to find where the Tarrasque would show up again. So, instead of the Tarrasque just regenerating from the biggest lump that's left from it, and as they do, the Tarrasque simply would just turn to ashes upon its death, and be transported back towards this ritual hold where they were kept, which would keep the population a bit more or safer from the Tarrasque. Only thing is, if someone knew how to summon these Tarrasques, they were more than capable of summoning the Tarrasque and raining complete and total utter destruction upon the world. Even more so if they could control the Tarrasque, which was the case with the Mind Flayer cult that was controlling these Tarrasques in this instance. Now, with the Tarrasques and the Storm Giant that was, said to have been able to kill the Tarrasques before, or the party quickly set off to go find this individual who knew where the Storm Giant could be found, who happened to be a silver dragon named Sligum. As they hunt down this silver dragon, they eventually found him after coming across a few more cities that were immediately destroyed by the Tarrasque, and quit fleeing them and helping other individuals escape via boats and whatnot. And as they eventually crossed various fields to reach the mountain range in which the silver dragon lived, they then helped him with a few things, helped him get his children back from a cloud giant who had kidnapped them, and then proceeded to take them to a coastal town where they could find the storm giant Vitor. Now, while they were in this coastal town, they made a few friends and whatnot, and far before this, the pirate Pinor had happened to come across a weapon called the Kraken Blade. A weapon and that magical in various different ways. It helps the wearer swim, and it does various different things that a kraken and would buffs that a kraken based weapon could likely give. Now, as they sailed towards the ocean to find and a grand obelisk where that marked the location of Bites, where they eventually found it after a few days of sailing. And once they found it, the obelisk was incredibly tall. It stood 30 feet above the water, and stood, it was mounted from the deepest depths of the ocean, and it was inscribed with certain Triton-like glyphs, glyphs of the Triton language. And as the trio read them, they eventually realized that they needed to sacrifice the Kraken Blade. After 20 minutes of real world contemplation, and Pinor's player eventually decided to drop the Kraken Blade down out into the depths below. And as he did such, the blade grew exponentially, and soon, and before it dropped down into the water, or as soon as it dropped down into the water, it began to grow to a feet of over 30 feet. And as it sunk down on a large whirlpool engulfed of the the obelisk, and expanded outwards, as to allow a water-free zone that encompassed a spiral staircase that led down to a cave where Bytor lived. Now, after 20 minutes or so of journeying down these stairs in game time, the party eventually found Bytor, and convinced him to go fight the Tarrasques. After he fought the Tarrasques and defeated them with various different types of assistance from the party, he then proceeded to go back to where he resided peacefully. And the Tarrasques died off as they did, and dissipated into dust, and returned home. Now, the big thing about this is that it is capable of making a fun game for the party, with the whole idea of they don't need to destroy the Tarrasque. They can go on a journey to find something to kill the Tarrasque, and it makes the whole thing a lot easier in terms of you don't have to level up consistently to go fight a Tarrasque, and plus nobody wants to fight a Tarrasque. But it does allow somebody to use a Tarrasque while still making the game fun and for a low-level party. And that's that. And tell me what you think about these. I'm gonna start making some more, and here's some advice from one DM to another. Have a good one.